Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It is Tuesday night and it is fans forum night. And as always, we have got plenty to chat about. We're going to talk a little bit about West Ham again. Why not? Why not bask in the glory of the opening day victory? We're going to talk Ollie Watkins getting in the PFA Team of the Year. We're going to get into all the transfer talk as well. It's all going off on Twitter, so we're going to get involved in that. Obviously, get your questions in and your comments, and we're going to talk a little bit about Emery versus Arteta as well. Make sure you smash that like button and hit the subscribe button. We are marching on to 5,000 subscribers, so please do help us get there. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and keep your comments flowing. We have got some returning podcasters tonight. Martin, first of all, great to have you back, mate. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm on a high now after Villa beating West Ham, which is always a good thing. We finally won away at West Ham in the London Stadium, which is always putting us in a bright mood. So delighted to be back, and I definitely will be on more frequent this time now. Thank God.
Good, man. Well, it's great to have you back. And even your dad says, evening, everyone, and Martin.
Are you saying good evening to yourself, Dad? Yeah, fair play to
Yeah, he is. He is. He is. And Kev, people were asking for you on Sunday. Like, where is Kevin? Where is Kevin? And on the match preview as well. So good to have you back, mate. Internet working, internet back in business. You're on mute at the minute, but I'm sure you'll jump off in a second to say hello.
I just knew you were going to keep that ramble going for a bit of time, so I thought I'd get it out there. My broadband is back. I told you it was going to be the 30th of August, and all of a sudden, you got a message from me yesterday saying, "I'm go, Rich." So, shame to miss the first match preview and the match reaction of the season, but I saw you in the away end. In
You
fact, I
did.
think I'm as close to the pitch now in Birmingham than I was in the away end with you at the London Stadium.
you.
Yeah.
So,
And we were at the front of the back, weren't
I know.
we? But we were
Yeah,
still like about 30 meters away, or well, probably more. I think I can't even. Yeah, yeah.
I, th- I,
The
th- I
gap,
think
the gap in between the lower tier and the upper tier. I don't know what the hell that is about, but
I think if
crazy.
we'd have got to the pitch, we would have got our Silver Duke of Edinburgh award. It was that far, basically. So, um, for those that know what that is, little gag for you there. Good. So yeah, I'm back. We won a game, and we're going to win the league. And we're top of the league. We're top of the league, Richard and Martin. We're top of the league.
Yes.
Kevin, calm down.
Not.
Well, look, we got to celebrate at some point, Martin.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have got.
yeah, we have to celebrate something. We're joint
Yeah,
top. We're joint top. We're
joint
joint
top.
top. That's
That's
what
it.
we say.
Still top.
Well, let's get into it because, like Kev says, me and Kev were standing next to each other, enjoying the game, and it was a fantastic performance. And I think, reflecting on it, I thought, yes, West Ham could have got maybe another goal at the end, but such a professional performance, Martin. We'll get into
Mm.
some individual performances again. We'll talk a few individual performances, but overall, the team structure, the coaching, the way that we constructed our moves going forward, just such a professional performance.
Yeah, and I felt we probably should have been out of sight in the first 15 and 20 minutes. Like we were absolutely all over West Ham. We did not know how to deal with us. Bailey hitting the post, and if all credit, I think I'll give that to Kilman. He made the angle very tight for him, which if he just lifted over him, but it's easier said than done. John McGinn was very unlucky. Uh, Bailey hitting sorry, I already said Bailey hitting the post. John McGinn obviously forcing the save and then hitting the post. And Onana made a great header, like a bit of physical presence in the box, which is something you've always been crying out for, Rich, and you finally got it. And 4 minutes in, we received the goal. So I say you were saying he was world class because he's 6'5" in the box, bang. And in the midfield, I felt we were very physical, which was something that we've always lacked. And the fact that we've seen it now, I think it's going to be a different profile to how we play. That we are going to be so physical in midfield. And then you have to remember we've got Kamara potentially coming back next month. So if you could look at the midfield three, and I put it on Twitter, and it was absolutely blowing up, of a midfield three of Kamara, Tielemans, and Onana. That is an exciting midfield, and it's only cost £50 million. Now I know £50 million is a lot of money, but when you put it in a comparison of what the other teams were spending for a midfield three, it's pennies. And like we were so dominant against West Ham, and they got their goal out with nothing really. It was just Paqueta playing the ball into Soucek. They got the penalty, bit soft in my opinion. And look, it was a great penalty, nothing we could do about it. But we didn't let it beat us. We absolutely did not let that beat us. And in the second half, right, for the first 10, 15 minutes, I felt we were on the mend. But then the substitutes, which was something that we have always lacked at the end of last season due to our injuries, made a serious impact. And, we went on to get 3 points and send fans back to Birmingham happy, or in your case, Rich, back to Newcastle happy. And, you may have got yourself into a little bit of a scrap, but I'm sure you won. But, I was absolutely just fantastic to see, just from all round, and it was a complete Emery-style performance, which is something that we were always glad to see.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely, couldn't have summed it up better myself. And Kev, we were chatting for quite a bit of it, and I guess that kind of shows even in that second half, I guess when West Ham sort of had a bit of a go towards the beginning of the second half, but I kind of felt I was just comfortable throughout the game. I don't want to kind of tempt fate or anything like that, but like Martin said, the physicality we had in the midfield, yes, he's going to be, yes, Michael,
On
he's
the
gonna be
payroll
correct.
again
Yeah,
this year,
yeah,
Michael,
yeah,
are we?
yeah.
On the payroll again.
But like I say, as Martin said, the physicality that we had, the dominance that we had in midfield, the space that West Ham were giving us, the threat that we had on the break with Morgan Rogers running forward with the ball, the substitutions that came on, Ramsey making an impact, Ian Matson making an impact. Yeah, I was just I was so I wouldn't say I was pleasantly surprised because I knew Villa had it in them, but it just put away all my concerns that I had kind of going through pre-season. As soon as those players stepped out on the pitch and they just started playing the game.
I'm actually quite annoyed at myself, if I'm honest, because I didn't go full on like negative Nelly, but I was a little bit worried before the game, and I did say like, sort of probably in the last pod we did before the preview that I'm not sure how it's going to go, and pre-season's been a bit hit and miss. I'm annoyed that I doubted Unai Emery. I'm annoyed at myself. What was I thinking? Pre-season, we spoke about this, didn't we, Rich? Like maybe he was deliberately allowing more pressure just to see how they reacted. Maybe he was deliberately trying different things out. Unai is such a magician that you wouldn't be surprised if he deliberately lost all 7 games just to see how Villa were going to react in that situation. It's like
Yeah.
a test. Arteta's got his light bulb and the wallet's been nicked. And Emery's like deliberate defeats. So everything was meticulously planned. That Columbus Crew defeat, he put a little bet on the score. He was so confident. Because as soon as the game started, admittedly, you and I missed the goal, the Onana goal. But I just felt so comfortable. Of all the games that I saw, watched a few of the games at the weekend and watched the match of the day and a few of the highlights. Villa for me was the best performance of any team. Considering it's away at a stadium that a lot of teams struggle at. We've not got a win there for, I think, ever at the London Stadium. We've not won away at West Ham since, I think, Gerard Houlier's days. We've not won on the opening day of the season since, I think it was when Rudy Gestede scored the header against Bournemouth the season we got relegated.
Yeah.
Despite all of those things, I just felt we looked like we were in complete control. And a dodgy penalty, I'm convinced he got to touch the ball first. I don't know what they are smoking at the VAR centre, but if he's saying he touched the ball, but he didn't mean to touch the ball, I mean, are they gaslighting us on purpose here?
That was silly. I've never heard any explanation like it. Oh, he's gone for the ball, but there's no physical intent to go for the ball. So stick to your decision.
Well, imagine a situation, right, in a catching related sport like cricket or baseball. He's caught the ball, but he didn't mean to catch the ball, so it's not out.
Yeah, yeah.
What are you on about? Like, and it's almost like they're making it up as they go along, and then you get the referees on the punditry shows just going along with it all, and we all have to kind of believe. Like, do you think we're stupid? And the one on McGinn was definitely a penalty for me. I know I'm maybe slightly biased. And clearly, then the momentum was going to shift somewhat because they got a goal, they got back into the game. But then, second half, I felt like we asserted our control again. And the chances, Martin mentioned some of the chances, the Bailey one at the narrow angle, the McGinn, slightly tame effort. If it'd been on his other foot, I would have fancied it. Morgan Rogers marauding through to the middle of the pitch. John
Yeah.
Duran puts one the wrong side of the post. Philogene in the back post maybe could have done a bit better. Rogers, when it came out to him and he snatched it a bit. We were away at West Ham, who've won the transfer window, and I thought we looked excellent. Excellent. You know, Baranachea couldn't get in the squad. Illing Jr. couldn't get in the squad. Moreno couldn't get in the squad, etc., etc., etc. I just feel like I'm annoyed at myself for even doubting this team. And as I left the ground, Rich, didn't tell you this, by the way, as I left the ground, trying to get back to my car where I parked so I can get away from the traffic, I'm running past these Villa fans going, "We're going to win the lot. We're going to win it all. We're going to win the lot." I've just got this chorus of people going, "Come on, son. We're going to win every trophy." It was just brilliant. I just felt we were great. So
Just to come back, just to come back to your point there, Kevin, on the referee and the whole VAR thing. This season was obviously there was an emphasis of referees sticking to their decisions and VAR trying not to intervene too much for errors, which is fine. I've absolutely no issues with that. But when there was something like this Matty Cash penalty and he's won the ball's gone completely the opposite direction. And Souček didn't even complain. There was no appeals from any of the players or anything like that. So when they've looked at that, right, he's won the ball. This is clearly an obvious error. And that's what VAR is for. It's an obvious error. And they didn't go to that. So, like, don't get me wrong, we still won the game, but the decision means that we didn't keep a clean sheet. That's all that decision means. So, like, for anything like that to happen, referees, yes, don't get me wrong, if you want to stick to the referee's decision, stick to the referee's decision if you feel like it, you stick to the decision. But when it's something like that and a clear and obvious error, you have to say to the referee, look, he's won the ball, it's not a penalty, you need to overturn this decision. And then there wouldn't be any arguments. But the fact that the explanation that came out was baffled me. It baffled every single Villa fan to say that, oh, he went to go for the ball, but there was no intentions on going for the ball. So what did he intend to do? Did he intend to take the player out? Did he intend to just try and get the ball and just see if it nicks away? It doesn't matter. Like, he's won the ball.
He's won the ball.
So therefore, it's not a penalty.
I don't think they needed to say anything. Like you said, Martin, if they're gonna go with what the referee's decision was, just say we're sticking with what the referee did. Don't try and justify it. Just say what you did. Because I think if had the referee not given a penalty and just said play on, then they would the VAR again wouldn't have stepped in. You don't have to justify it. By trying to justify it, they've kind of made it worse.
Yeah, but I tell you what, Richard, if you remember the conversation we had in the queue, no, I only had like half a drink. You obviously had a few, so you might not remember this. But I said at halftime when all the reports were coming in that it was a dodgy penalty, the mark of a big team. Remember we had this conversation going down the stairs. Man United, Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal are going to get bad decisions against them in a game. The mark of a big team is do you rue that moment and it affects you and you don't win the game, or do you come through the other side? And we still got the away win when the momentum, you could argue, was with them. So, I mean, I'd be probably speaking a bit differently about it if we'd lost the game, or, if Duran's one had been offside and then at the end, Souček had scored. But, I just feel like that says a lot about this team, that we've gone away on the first day of the season. The luck's gone against us. We've had the majority of the good chances in the game, and we've also overturned them getting it back.
100%. Just going on to a couple of performances, players, combinations. Martin, I just wanted to highlight Amadou Onana and I guess Yuri Tielemans as well. And that centre midfield partnership. I know Rachel's put, obviously it's the first game. No need to get too excited and too carried away, but the early signs are there that is a really, really exciting midfield partnership at the moment. And like you said, I don't think Amadou Onana could have wished for a better debut.
No, absolutely not. I mean, 4 minutes in, and it was a great ball from Tielemans into the box, 6-yard box. Could you argue maybe the keeper could have done a bit better, seeing that that's his domain to come and claim the ball? But I think Bailey done enough to push off Kilman a bit, and Onana with the height and presence, which is something that I touched on earlier on that we absolutely miss boom, bullet header into the bottom corner. Couldn't complain. And after that, he was just so dominant. He was comfortable on the ball. He was everywhere. And I remember when Emerson, when he crossed the ball into the box, and literally Onana, all he literally did was just move his body like this, and he got the header, and it just stopped the momentum of the ball going into the box. Last season, that just probably just cuts through and goes to West Ham player, and it's in the back of the net. That ultimately is the difference. Someone at that height, someone with that physical presence in that midfield is something that we've solely missed. And maybe that is going to be a new look Villa, where we know with Luiz, where he was going to be the ball carrier, Tielemans was a ball carrier, and Kamara was at the back sweeping it all up. Maybe this year our profile is younger players, more physical. What can we do from the midfield? And Onana fits that profile in every manner. And he was absolutely fantastic from the first minute. He looked so comfortable. He was great with Tielemans. There was great chemistry, considering that they were playing with each other for Belgium in the Euros next to each other. So it was something that they didn't lose. They just brought it into the next season. And they've absolutely ran the show. Onana being physical, Tielemans getting the ball, moving it quickly, one touch straight into the attacking third of the pitch, which we left West Ham so vulnerable so many times. It could have been more than 2-1.
Yeah.
But football is a game of what's if, buts, and maybes, and the score was 2-1, but we got to deserve 3 points, in my opinion.
Definitely, Martin. And also, we can't not talk about him, Kev. Martin's named it Duran winner, and
The cameraman.
it was written in the stars, wasn't it, mate? Not the cameraman. It was written in the stars that this guy would come on and
absolutely
score the winner, and it was ruthless. It was what's the word? Impudent. It was everything that John Duran is. Just took his chance, and yeah, game done, game over.
It was chaos.
Great. Yeah, he was great when he came on. He was literally like harassing. He was all over the place. He obviously had a really good chance, which he snatched at a little bit, but he was there again. You know, it was a great run for that chance, and then it was a great bit of movement in the box to finish off what was a delightful move from the team. You know, it goes back further than that pass from Torres. We had it a bit before and did a bit of passing before that. It was just inevitable that he was going to do it. But I think what he's done, he's shown that if we are to lose him, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a better option in world football that would be an as good an understudy as John Duran is. And I mean that by the fact that a lot of players probably, you know, you're not going to get an Osimhen or, you know, a Haaland to play that role as an understudy.
Well, we were saying, Kevin, in the stands, you know, West Ham were prepared to pay 32 to 35 million pounds for him.
Plus
Chelsea were prepared to pay upwards of 30 million for him. He's got to be a
paid
good
for a
player.
taxi myself.
Yeah, no, you're going to turn around in a bit, Mark. In a couple of games, you're going to be like what Leon, like Kev was like to Leon Bailey.
It's going to take a lot more. It's going to take a lot more to get my forgiveness now. But Kevin, you continue. Sorry.
But yeah, I was going to say, are you going, Rich? Go on.
I was basically just going to say, you know, he has to have that ability because teams are willing to pay upwards of 30 million for him. So he's got to be a good player.
Yeah, to get an understudy. Again, I made this point, I think, in previous pods over the last year or so. Tottenham had this problem for ages when they had Harry Kane. Who's going to play understudy to him? This is the problem you've got. Now, obviously, Duran thinks he should be leading the line for a top team. And I think if he keeps this kind of form going, then his price is only going to go up, you know, because his goals to goals ratio, he's only second to Haaland of players that have played over 500 minutes. It's crazy how effective he is. And what he's done, you know, I remember obviously there was that winner at Palace. He finished off, didn't he, the Everton match. There was a great goal against, was it Ajax? Was it when he smashed one in off the bar? Yeah. Was it Ajax? Yeah, I think it was.
Ajax, yeah.
Obviously, there was the Liverpool game at the end of the season. I mean, there's so many situations where he's contributed. And I just think that he's got pace, he's got power, he's strong, he's physical, he's got a little bit of attitude, but he is a threat. And yeah, if the attitude's off and he doesn't want to play for us and we can get a better replacement in, sure, I trust the club, go for it. But I do think you'd be hard-pressed to get someone as effective. I wasn't sure about him many times. I'm telling you now, I don't care if you're playing Real Madrid. You bring on John Duran with 20 minutes to go, he's going to cause you some problems. So I just feel like he's a really effective backup striker, whether we can keep him happy. Unai sits him down, Champions League, all that kind of stuff to talk about it. I tell you what as well, just to go back to Onana, one thing we didn't touch on, there's a great bit I remember at the moment when they were bombing the ball in the box, West Ham, and Onana was the one who kept heading it out, and I was just smiling from ear to ear, baby. Like he's so tall, and we've just got this now. It's like like in like Vikings, where they've got all these different weapons that they're trying out for the first time, and like they do Game of Thrones, and they've got dragons and eyes changing color and all that kind of stuff, right? Well, I'm like, we've got this Onana now in the team that's given us a dimension that we've not had. I can't remember since when. Like they're putting the ball in the box that they would have had like Suchek bombing onto, and Onana's just winning every header. It's like a cheat code situation, and he was
There you are.
so much better on the ball.
Hot Take said the same thing.
Yeah,
mate.
brilliant. I love that. And he was so much better on the ball than people give him credit for. So I just think that both the physicality that both those two offer is right up my street, basically.
Yeah. Well, he's 6'5". Rich has him down for the Ballon d'Or award already.
Well, mate, if he carries on playing like he did on Saturday, he set the standard now. Martin. So, but yeah, moves us nicely onto the kind of next talking point. And we'll briefly go on to this because you mentioned Duran being the understudy to Ollie Watkins, and it's just, what's the word? It's difficult. It's not even difficult. You've got to go in and give the respect where it's absolutely deserved in terms of the season that Ollie Watkins had last year. You know, we can forget. It's easy to forget. Sorry, you know, what a great season Ollie Watkins had for us last year. Was it 32 goal involvements or something like that across the season, Kev? Or was it 37 or something?
Something like that, because he got 27 goals in all comps.
Yeah. So just incredible season, and he got his just rewards today in terms of getting named in the PFA 2024 awards Team of the Year, voted for, I believe, by fellow professionals. And yeah, Martin, no more than Ollie Watkins deserves.
Yeah, 19 goals, 13 assists in the Premier League last season, and none of them were penalties. Absolutely none of them were penalties. So if you imagine you stuck him on penalties, you might be looking at maybe 25 goals for the Premier League, which would have put him right up there in the top goal scoring bracket. But, you know, he had absolutely such a fantastic season, and he absolutely deserved it. I probably felt he probably deserved the Player of the Year, considering, you know, like I said, none of them were penalties. Haaland had penalties. You know, Palmer, in my opinion, penalty merchant. Half of his goals were penalties. And obviously he won PFA Young Player of the Year. And look, whoever won the league was always getting PFA Player of the Year, which is why Phil Foden got it. It's always the case, which is not something that you could argue against. But as for Ollie Watkins, it's no more than he deserved. He had an absolutely fantastic year for Villa. And of course, off the pitch, getting engaged to his girlfriend. You know, he's had an absolutely brilliant 2024. And it's not even finished yet. So there's more in stall for him.
Absolutely, and I'm sure we'll get up to speed very soon. Was a little bit quiet on Saturday, but I'm sure we'll get up to speed. And we're forgetting as well, scoring a goal in the semi-final of a European competition.
Yeah, that was a bit of a catch-22 for me.
Yeah,
that was a bit. I'm not gonna lie here, right, lads? Now, don't get me wrong. I absolutely hate it.
I'll talk about that.
I'll take it from here. Yeah,
I'll take it. Don't, I know you're bitter about it. It's fine. Don't worry.
He goes down in history.
Absolutely, and I say this as someone who's half Irish, you know, so I'm not plastic properly. So obviously got a love for Ireland. I remember the days when Ireland and England both used to qualify for major tournaments, but Ireland seemed to have given up in the last 20 years anyway. Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this the other week, Rich. You know, iconic England memory moments. Rooney scoring as a 17-year-old, that goal against Croatia. Michael Owen, World Cup 98. What a moment that was. And these iconic moments over the years. Gazza just stretching Euro 96. But right up there in the last 30 years is David Platt's over-the-shoulder volley in the last minute of the round of 16 in World Cup 1990 in Italy. And Ollie Watkins, his winner, right at the death in the semi-final. I mean, that is iconic in international football against, you know, a quality team in terms of Holland. And it was what we were all crying out for to happen, to get him on the pitch. And I just love that he got that moment. And Martin, you talk about his year. I mean, he's got a beautiful partner, 2 wonderful children. He's in the team of the year. He scored the winner in the semi-final. He's playing Champions League football. He's got over 30 goal involvements. And he just seems like a thoroughly nice fella. From Western Supermare to team of the year in the Premier League. It's just fantastic. And I really do feel now with his confidence levels, I'm not bothered about his slightly quiet performance because I know Jamie Vardy.
Yeah.
Jamie Vardy proved actually that you can, if you've not had a pre-season, you can score. But anyway, jokes. But I've got no doubt in my mind that his confidence levels are going to be sky high, and we're going to see the best version of Watkins this season.
Yeah, I just want to make a point here. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the fact that Ollie Watkins had a great moment from a Villa perspective, and that he deserved it, in my opinion, right? No, when he did, and I'm going to give full credit to him. But the catch-22 for me was the fact that England got a last-minute winner, and I'm sitting there going, I'm never going to hear the end of this now from these lads at this point. Like, you know, but don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved it for Ollie Watkins. I really did. I couldn't be mad at it, and I was just sitting there going, I can't be mad. But if it was anyone else, I would have just given out. But for the fact that it was him, I'm sitting there going, I just did not know what to do. It was just one of them things. I was speechless.
Hey, Martin, I'll tell you something just to make you feel a bit better, right? When England played England played Ireland in the group phase of the World Cup 90, I went just after that tournament to visit my family in Ireland, right, with my mum, my sister, and I'm playing football with all my cousins and their mates, and there's literally like 45 kids on a field, 43 proper Irish and me, and for an hour and a half, all I got was, who put the ball in the English net? Sheedy, on repeat. And I remember thinking, like, leave me alone. So if you get a little bit the other way, Mark, that's karma as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I've got to shout out a couple of super chats, boys. Scotty UK with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much for your support, mate. Absolutely love it. And Richie Edwards, $1.99 super chat. Can only see us getting better. Hashtag Emery ball. Hashtag we all follow the Villa. Legend.
£7. That's £1 each.
Yeah. And guys, if you please can hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. We've got nearly 300 watching tonight on X and on YouTube. So please make sure you like if you're on YouTube and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and follow us at Villa Park Pod and our own handles at Marto Leonardo and at KTAVFC on X. And yeah, if you want to become a member as well, please do click the link at the top of the chat, or click the $sign and you can give a super chat, or you can become a member and become an official Villa Park Pod follower for less than $1.99. Actually, no, for $1.99 a month, less than the cost of a pint, less than a third of the cost of a pint. I got it there in the end. So, boys, we have a busy end, hopefully, to the window. Yeah, Kev, the Irish accent.
What a disgrace, Martin. What a disgrace. What a disgraceful thing to say to me.
Kevin, stop with the
No
Welsh
more
accent.
Of that, please, Kev.
Kevin, stop the Welsh accent. You're good at the Welsh accent, Kevin. I'll give you that one.
Do you want me to do my Northern Irish one, or shall I just quit it now?
No, sit down. Don't. No, Rich, get rid of him now. Let that Northern Irish crack now.
We'll mute him. Well, we've got the boys here, Monchi and Emery, and it's been going off a little bit on X. Where do you want to start? I mean, we've got Moreno looking like he's going to Forest. That's been agreed, Kev, a loan with an option to buy, I believe, at the end of the season. How do you feel about Alex Moreno moving on?
Heavy heart, a real heavy heart. I really like him as a player, and I feel like he was massive for us in that second half of the season when Emery came in. Obviously, Emery signed him in I think it was Emery's, him or Duran were obviously one of the first signings. Obviously, he played straight away, so first one made an impact. And I felt for that particular that second half of that season, he was excellent for us. I think he gave us such dimension to our play going forward. And remember, at the time, a lot of people, probably me included, were saying I think he's usurped. Big word for me. Digne as the left back in the team. So credit to Digne for the form and perseverance he's shown. Another one to get back in the team. And obviously we've got Maatsen now, and this is the luxury of being the team that we are, that we can let a player like Alex Moreno go to a lesser team in the league because we've got an abundance of riches at left back. It says a hell of a lot. I'm going to be honest with you. I like him so much. I'll be really rooting for Forest now to stay up. I'm really rooting for him. And he just goes with all of our well wishes, I think, from Aston Villa perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he came in that debut against Leeds, little bit a dodgy start, but then really did take to the Villa way of playing and really did brilliantly. Martin, are you
Hmm.
a little bit surprised that he's stayed in the Premier League? I think a few people in the chat talking about him maybe the likelihood was that he'd go back to Spain. Maybe the homesickness was something that was mooted. And also, do you think probably the injuries that he had just kind of caught up with him a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's something that's really hampering him. Unfortunately, is the injuries. Like before that, he was the number one left back, wasn't he? Like Kevin said, the whole new different dimension of him just bombing up the pitch. And then when that injury happened to him, unfortunately, it was just the surgery. Then he got wasn't back to the same player. And like I don't know, like credit to Dina, he came back and he was just performing. And then it was hard for Moreno then to get back into the team. But and then obviously he was stop start with the injuries again, and Dina then just cemented his place, and off we went in against Matson. So you always felt that Moreno was going to be the third choice left back, and in my opinion, he's not a player that should be a third choice left back. Like he is good enough to be number one somewhere else, and like you don't want that for a player like him, because if you've got three senior left backs who are good enough to be number one choice, it's not something that you want because you've created so much headaches. You've got egos then to deal with. You'd only realistically need two, and that should be it. The third choice should be like a young player who may be up and coming through and play a League Cup game, and that's the way it should be. So with someone like Alex Moreno, if he's the third choice, it shouldn't be happening for him. And that's just me wanting him to move somewhere to get his number one spot, to be playing every week, because that's the player he is, and that's the player he should be. And if it's a move to Forest where he feels like he can get, you know, a game week in, week out, well, then so be it. Let him go to Forest. And I'll be with Kev on that, and I hope then Forest stay up just for him. And then when he comes back, I feel like then next year he'll go back to Spain. Because like you
Maybe,
said there, it's
unless
homesickness.
they
And then,
buy
of
him.
course,
Yeah,
his wife is Spanish as well. So it just makes sense to go back to Spain next year. Maybe this year is just probably earning more cash from the Premier League, because we all know the superpower financially for the Premier League compared to La Liga.
yeah,
So that'll be something maybe that's been taken into consideration. And then
yeah,
next year,
yeah,
maybe go back to Betis.
yeah. Maybe. So yeah, he goes with our best wishes, and yeah, I think good that we'll still see him in the Premier League, and hopefully he gets regular game time. The next player, obviously, that's being talked about as leaving throughout the whole preseason is Diego Carlos. Now, that
Mm.
was looking like it was going to be Fulham care for all the way, and now they've announced, or David Ornstein's reported, that they've had a bid accepted for Anderson from Crystal Palace, and that's looked like it's going to get done. So does that open the door for maybe Carlos to go to a Crystal Palace, or does the Fulham still need two, or does he stay at Aston Villa? What are your thoughts on the Diego Carlos situation?
I think there's some options that are still absolutely on the table, because obviously, I think Tim Ream, who has been a mainstay of the Fulham defence for quite a few years now, and he played in the playoff defeat we suffered, didn't we?
Mm,
Under Steve Bruce, he's gone back to the US. Obviously, Tosin, who can't even get in the Chelsea squad. How
Mm.
mental is that? A highly rated guy, loads of people apparently
would have
interested.
gone to Newcastle.
Yeah, he's not even in the European squad for the game they've got coming up. I mean, it's just let's not get into Chelsea because we'll be here all night.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
yeah, so if they get Anderson, who I think is a really good player, to be honest, actually, I think maybe they still got a spot open. If Gay goes to Newcastle, they've got a spot open for a centre half. And if we're
Mm.
looking to bring in a cash alternative, shall we say, and some centre half cover, seems like that Getrida is a Hertruder, I think however you say it, is the likely option, and seems like a really good fit from a profile perspective. But it's like a lot of these situations at the latter end of the transfer window. You need to move a few things around. They can't. Maybe we need to get a Moreno out to free up a bit of room in the squad. Maybe get Illing Jr. out on loan somewhere and make us. You've got to do a little bit of moving things around, haven't you?
yeah,
And I
Yeah.
do think there will be some moves. Carlos at the moment, I think, is integral. If Cash has done his hamstring, Nedeljkovic looked a little bit like a deer in the headlights on Saturday.
yeah. He can't
Obviously,
play against Arsenal.
So it's likely going to be Konza, Carlos, Pau, and then obviously one of Dina or Matson. So he's an integral part of our squad right now. He's our most physical defender. And I think right now we absolutely need him. But I do think that if we can get through Duran, however you say his name, then I could still see him moving out.
Yeah. What about you, Martin? You were saying in our chat, you still kind of think that, agreeing with Kev, that Carlos is probably still likely to move on.
Yeah, I've seen rumours now that Fulham actually want both Carlos and Anderson, because when you think about who they've lost, Thompson and Tim Ream, they are looking for two centre backs. So I still think the move for Fulham for Carlos is not off the cards. I know a lot of people are probably saying, "Oh, it's off the cards now." Fulham have their centre back, but the rumour has it Fulham in the market for two centre backs. So I still feel like Carlos going to Fulham can be a possibility. I'm not saying that it's a definite now with them hands, and so they might go for someone else, maybe of a lesser profile due to the money that they spent on him. But I still feel like maybe that might be off the cards. But I do agree with Kevin when he's come onto the fact there where Guthrie has, maybe this option to come in, who I think would be an absolutely fantastic fit, because I was watching Antonio, I can't remember his second name, so
Is it
forgive me if I
Antonio
watch him.
Mangala or Mang?
Yeah, Antonio
Yeah.
Mangallo. Yeah, he's from your way, Newcastle, and I watched that video and it was really, really good. It explains so much depth to why Emery wants him, and I feel like he would be such a good fit, because if we've got Matson who's constantly bombing that left side, Gertrude could just move in and be that like third centre back option, which I think is something Emery has always wanted to do with Villa. And if the weekend comes where I don't feel like I believe would be Carlos, Konza, Pau, and Matson, in my opinion. So I do agree with Kev on that, letting Matson go up and just being that for that weekend. But I just think that the move to Fulham for Carlos is not off the cards. And I do think that will happen. And if that does happen, maybe I can see us getting Garcia and potentially, which is something that I think has been dragging on nearly all summer, is Hermoso to Villa. I think that one could still happen as well if
Yeah,
Carlos.
he's still available on that free, isn't he? But there's also
Yeah.
been talk of Joe Gomez, Trevor Chalobah, but it was actually reported by Jacob Tanswell that we have actually lodged we have got a real interest in Joe Gomez, but
I wouldn't want Joe Gomez, to be honest with you, because I just think his legs are like glass. Like, look at his injury record in the last few years. Why would we want someone like that? We want someone that's going to be available. Like, we had the injury issues at the end of last season. And if we ever come into injury issues again, and we're going to rely on Joe Gomez with his record that he has, I'm sorry, but not for me. I'd
well,
rather
yeah,
challenge.
I do agree in the sense of I don't think I'll be paid 40 to 45 million for him, but I can certainly see that going towards the end of the window and someone getting him on a loan deal with an option to buy.
Yeah, the thing that surprises me with Gomez as well is that last season's the most games he's played in 10 years at Liverpool in one season.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
That's the
Yeah.
32 games. He's he's only got to 28 once, and then early 20s
I
before
don't think he
that.
started many games either, though, did he?
No, I
No.
mean, in his whole time at Liverpool, so what, he's been there since, I think, 15, 16, he's made 140 appearances.
Yeah.
Which is
It's
not.
just not reliable. Like 10 years, that's an average of what? 14 appearances a year. Like, that's not what you want, lads. Like, you want someone that's going to be there in his 20 to 25 games in a season.
Well,
14
he's going to want to play, isn't he, as well? He's leaving Liverpool
Yeah,
in the hope of playing a lot more games. So that's the
I'm not.
tricky part of it.
I'm not sold on that Gomez. No,
No,
not for me.
no. One player who
No.
has really impressed over pre-season and has actually been rewarded today with a new 4-year contract is Lamar Bogard, and he's really impressed Unai Emery by all accounts across pre-season and I'd imagine last season as well. And is there an argument, Kev, that he could be pushed into more first team contention for, I guess, what would he be, fourth choice centre back at the moment?
There's definitely an argument for that with whatever happens. I mean, obviously, I think Feeney's gone out on loan again, hasn't he? He was obviously another young centre half we've got. He seems like he fits the Emery model. He's good on the ball. He seems like he's calm. He can play it out from the back. He's fairly physical. He's not a baby anymore. It's not like he's 16, 17. So, like, I think it's time. And look, I wouldn't be surprised if we do some movements in the market for him to go and get a loan somewhere, maybe a slightly higher level than Bristol Rovers, where I know he was very, very highly rated when he was under there. I've heard Joe Barton sort of saying great things about him, and I've heard other people in the press saying stuff about him. So I wouldn't be surprised, but I think credit to him to get himself that new deal really, really shows. He seems like he's nothing like he is. I think is it his uncle, the one who was at Chelsea, Winston Bogard?
Winston, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like him just going to sit on a 30 grand a week contract.
Yeah, maybe he's got his new contract now, and that's him going to be done. He's just going to turn up to training for the next 4 years and never play. Martin, you won't remember this, but Chelsea had a player about 20 years ago who was like a highly rated. He played for Holland. I think he played for like Barca maybe as well, Ajax, and he basically went to Chelsea and didn't play for 4 years on like 40 grand a week. It was like and anyway, he's related to Lamar Bogard. His name is Winston Bogard, so we just hope he hasn't got the same sort of work ethic.
Yeah, definitely. But Martin, a few people in the chat. I mean, first of all, Bogard, been really good, and it's great to see young players getting rewarded with, Louis Barry got rewarded with a contract, then goes to Stockport's got 2 in 2 games, and there's other players, getting rewarded with contracts as well. We still got Rory Wilson to potentially sign up to a longer term deal, but lots of people in the chat as well talking about Tyron Mings coming back now. Is that in the back of Emery's mind as well, where he's mentioned him a couple of times to say he's going to be back in September? He's mentioned Kamara as well to come back soon. So is that a little bit in Emery's mind as well, that he doesn't want to bring too many players in to almost block their route into the first team squad?
It could do, yeah. That could be a really possibility, of course, but at the same time with Mings, I feel like he's so commanding his voice. He's got such a strong leadership in that team that I felt we've missed at certain times. So I think for Mings, he comes back straight away. Kamara, maybe, but at the same time with Kamara, he's someone that we solely miss as well.
Do you think Mings comes back the same player?
Well, maybe not, but you have to think about the voice in the dressing room, Rich. Right? Like, if you look at last season, we missed that voice in the dressing room. Mings wasn't there because he was sidelined. We didn't have an Ashley Young type voice either. There was just no personality. There was no leadership to drag someone from a low point to get us back into that high point. And I feel like Mings will do that. Mings may accept that squad player role and just being that voice in the dressing room, and I don't think he'll have any issues doing it. And then maybe next season he might be moved on, which I think it's the last year of his contract, if I'm correct. He might have no problem being a squad player, and he might sign an extension next year, say a 2-year deal of being a squad player. And I don't think he'd have a problem doing it because he wants the best for Villa. And, he was the captain at one point. You have to remember, it was only for the fact that Gerrard just stripped the captaincy off and didn't fancy him whatsoever and gave it to John McGinn. Now, I'm not saying that's John McGinn's fault. I do believe John McGinn's a great captain, and he has been for the last few years. But in the same sense, you have to realize that Tyron Mings is such a leader. Like, he came from the Championship with us and got us all the way up to that Conference League. And then first day of last season, that ACL injury, and he wasn't a part of that Champions League run, which was something that was so heartbreaking for me and for him, of course. That voice and that commanding performance at times is just something that we've really missed a lot of times in games. And I felt that the game against West Ham would have perfectly suited him, just to be commanding and be physical and be compact in that back line. And of course, what we had in the midfield in front of us, there's certain games that I feel like this season is really going to suit Tyron Mings to make sure the lads, right, let's shut up shop, be compact, be composed, be organized, and then we see where it goes from here. We missed that last season where we've just had plan A and we didn't really have a plan B. And I feel like Tyron Mings is going to be an Emery plan B.
Yeah. I mean, Kev, Rachel makes a point now. The slight problem is his second ACL injury. Lots of people are totally agreeing with Martin in terms of the mentality, in terms of the leadership, in terms of, and I talked about last week about, he almost stopped teams from wanting to put the ball into the box because they knew he was going to win the header. I do think Emery's got that in his mind that he wants him back in and he wants him part of the squad, but there is always that nagging doubt that maybe he's not going to be quite the same.
Yeah, I think there's a real worry for any player, particularly one that's had multiple. Ryan Mason, there you go. That's a good little lookalike. Yeah, I feel like you're always going to have that worry about any player. You know, we said it
Yeah,
about Diego Carlos, didn't we, when he did his Achilles, and you know, your Achilles tendon, which was a really bad injury for, I think he ruptured it, didn't he? Is as bad as your ACL. Now I know with Mings, I think it's ACL and meniscus as well as whereas Buendia's and particularly Kamara's were slightly more simpler, you know, knee ligament injuries. But I look at it from the other side with Mings. And I do think we've got a lot of leadership on our squad now as well. So I don't think it's as much of an issue as it was. You look at that team now; it's littered with internationals, and I think you've got players like Konza and Watkins who went to the final of the Euros with England. Tielemans, Onana, Digne, Martinez has won everything basically. You've got, you know, Maatsen has played Champions League final. You've got players across the team. I've loads of names I've not mentioned, from a McGinn to Kamara, that I've got loads of experience. So I don't think that's much of an issue now. But my angle on Mings is this: I think Mings could be at Villa for the next 3 or 4 years. He's 31.
Yeah.
He hasn't even played 250 games professionally. I think if you take Chippenham Town out, it's probably only about circa 200 games he's played, because he came to football late. Obviously, he's had a few injuries. So if you look at that whole, like, you know, a few miles left on the tank, good little runner, good big runner in his way. If he can come back to fitness and his knees are okay, I can see him being a mainstay of the squad for the next 2 or 3 years, because 31 isn't old in this era for a footballer who's conditioned well physically.
No.
If you've ever seen him, he's an absolute specimen.
well, that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah,
He's in
exactly.
shape. He's in shape.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, you'd
And
expect a professional footballer to be.
he's gonna be absolute, like, you look at his kind of recovery from injury and his rehab, he has done it to the T. You can imagine him being a consummate professional, doing everything specifically that he needs to do: the diet, the exercises, the extra training away from the actual physio appointments, going out to America, all of that stuff. He will have done it to a T, and kind of getting on the grass and doing the running
Yeah.
and getting the ball and everything like that. So
Kept it
when he
quiet for
does
a while,
come
though, didn't
back,
he? He kept it very quiet for a while.
yeah. But when he does come back, he is going to be absolutely chomping at the bit to get himself back. Not only to get himself back in the team, but like you say, Martin, to really lead that team, whether it be. I mean, just imagine him stepping out onto the pitch for Villa in the Champions League. He would have been like. I mean, I know there's a number of players that wouldn't imagine. You talked about Ollie Watkins from Western-super-Mare, but you know, Mings has talked about his journey and all that kind of stuff, and working as a salesman and that, and to step out into the Champions League with Villa. I mean, that is motivation in itself to just
Yeah.
be doing that. And so you think, like, he's going to do blood, sweat, and tears to get back into the shape, to get back into that team and really contribute, because he'll also want to give something back to the players that got us there in the first place as well.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think as well. There's a good comment there from KTF FTF Walker. I don't know if you've seen it on there, Rich. Do we think Emery plays him and playing the same side? I think you've got to look at this in the same way as Digne and Maatsen are both integral parts of the squad. So actually, there might be some games where maybe you might play Mings. I think Mings would be a great, almost doing what Konza does sometimes as that hybrid right back. I think Mings would be great as on the left. He's physical, he's quick.
Well, he did play left back in his early days for Bournemouth.
Yeah, so I think you've got that as an option if you wanted to do that. Almost that. Imagine a back four of Konza or say Gertruda, and then Carlos or Konza, Pau and Mings. I mean, you'd be like Man City, wouldn't you? In
With
terms of
Onana just in
Four
front of
centre
them.
backs. Yeah.
Onana and Kamara just in front. Good luck scoring with Martinez in
Morgan
goal
as well.
Yeah, it's just Morgan Rogers' physicality. Yeah, I mean, even if you had Louis Barry and Cameron Archer in that team, you'd still have an average height of about 6'3". I just look at what Mings can offer, and I just think he'd be an integral part of the squad. And you wouldn't have to desperately bring him back in because he's the only defender you've got who's got anything going for him. You know, you could easy me in, and then there might be some games where I think he could play with Torres. I think he could play with anybody. He played left and right for Villa. He was great on the ball, better than we ever thought he was in that last half of that season when we qualified for the Conference League. He's still a good age. He's only 31 and a bit, and he's not got many miles on the tank. So I'm just really hoping that he can get the strength back that we saw before in his leg, and he doesn't have any kind of recurrence of the injury, which can happen straight away. Because it would be wonderful to see him on that pitch, wouldn't it? The players like him, McGinn, Watkins, he's been on this whole journey with us. No, I'm still really sad that like Conor Harahan isn't going to play Champions League football for us. Do you know what I mean? Like
I'm more sadder than you on that one now, mate. I think I'd love him there.
But these players that you kind of like feel like you've got a bit of an affinity for, like you kind of came through and like
Marvelous Nakamba.
Elmo, could Elmo still do a job? Like all these players.
El Ghazi coming in on the cross.
I'd have him for penalties, El Ghazi, if he's available.
100%. I think with this squad, right? With this Villa squad, I think Villa can finish third in the Premier League.
I called it already, Mark.
Yeah. Kev called it. You called it. Yeah.
Like my reason for it, and just to touch on it, my reason for it is that Liverpool are going to go through a transition, right? They haven't really signed anybody, but I do think they will be up there. I think United's FA Cup win is not the FA Cup win that a lot of United fans may think it is. Because if you looked at their game against Fulham, they weren't particularly great. They still got the win. Chelsea, I'm not going to bang on about them. I'll be here all night. Newcastle haven't really signed anybody, but yet they're all saying, but Tonali's coming back. Yeah, but Tonali was suspended. Like, one player is not going to make a huge difference to how you play. West Ham, I do feel like will be up there. I really do. And with Spurs, their record against top 6 teams is never great. If you look at last season when they were saying, we can decide who's going to win the league, they lost all 3 games. And us as Villa got 10 points against them. Like, we got 10 points from Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool last season, and Spurs got 3. Which
is why it's mental. I don't know if you saw the tweet I put out last night when Carragher and Neville did their predictions for the season. That both of them have got Spurs ahead of Villa, Man United ahead of Villa. I'm like, as if
Chelsea ahead of Villa.
Yeah, Spurs and Man United have both got Europe, haven't they? Like,
I don't know. Yeah, exactly.
Are they not going to have tired legs?
I mean, I shared you that tweet from the on the ball podcast. The Irish guys were just saying, like, yes, you could say that Villa have got the Champions League to contend with, but just to say it as just a dismissive comment without any justification as to why you'd saying that, it's just ridiculous. Because if you think about it, we had Thursday, Sunday last season, albeit in the Conference League, but everyone talked about, Thursday, Sunday is the hardest to contend with. Most of the time when we played after the Sunday after the Thursday, we won the game. So we couldn't have been that bad, and we got to the semi-finals of the Conference League.
Yeah, and as well as that,
with a worse squad, loads of injuries.
Yeah,
we've made loads of signings. We've got too many players in the squad. It's like they seem to forget that Aston Villa are going to be the only team in that top 6 or 7 that are going to be playing European football. Man City aren't playing in Europe, but they've got more experience. Dickheads, a lot of them, they piss me off.
It's just basically, I don't have to think about Villa. All we do is think about Chelsea, Tottenham, Man United, Liverpool, Man City, and Arsenal. We don't think about any. We think, Brighton, they signed loads of good players that no one knows about, and they're selling them off for big money. Villa, they've got a good manager, but they'll drop off. Newcastle, the Geordies, they're just addicted to football. They love football. They eat, sleep, and drink football. It's just the old stereotypes that don't think about anything else other than the top 6 or the big 6 or whatever you want to call it, and everyone else, they've got their own little character traits about that team, and they just trot out old lines about.
Do you remember
that?
And just pre-Christmas, right? Like pre-Christmas, we finished top of the Conference League, and we were second in the Premier League with the squad that we had, and we had no injuries, and then injuries just hampered us. But it didn't hamper us a lot, right? But now with this squad that we have, and then players coming back from injury, that's why I feel like we're better equipped this year for 100%. Us to actually progress.
100%. Do you remember in the running last season, like about sort of February, March, April time, and they're all on these on the Sky shows going, Jamie Redknapp and Neville saying, I think Man United will get top 4, and Redknapp's going,
it was harping off for ages. They were waiting on that little run from Man United, like it was as if it was in the script.
But I saw a clip today, one from Sky, where it's like no troubles for the top 3 from last season this weekend. Well, the 4th team won as well. Like, I know, like we look for every angle to think that they're basically dismissing us, but look at the match of the day coverage. I drove back from London, Rich, had my my dinner at Beaconsfield Services, and got home, got the kettle on, peppermint tea, thinking I'll see what they got to say about the Villa. They said sod all about the Villa. We've got
I
away.
didn't watch the. I didn't watch.
You know
the
what? I'm
Don't
nearly
day
with
coverage.
George now at this point. George loves being
Yeah.
under the radar. You know what? So do I.
Yeah,
I
actually love it.
might as well.
Do you know what? Like, I hate it and I love it at the same time.
Yeah,
I want the
I know what you
respect,
mean.
but I honestly reckon that Villa could come out. We could win 3 Premier Leagues in a row, a cure for cancer, right? Solve world hunger, and they'd still go, oh, but Brighton have bought a few players, haven't they? Maybe. Oh, let's go around the Brighton training ground. Oh, is it
They've
exciting?
got an exciting manager. Yeah.
He's young.
Oh, I
he's
don't
young.
know. Villa may have to compete with the local GP as well and all that. You know,
Yeah,
it's not going to happen.
yeah.
They still have the local GP to do,
Yeah.
and you know they might also have to go down to the Mater Hospital as well to sort out some stuff. I don't know how they're going to
I don't know how they're
manage
going to
everything.
cope with it. Yeah, I know,
No
mate.
respect.
What Rich does ask a question to you, Martin, because you did say you're confident we can finish in the top 3, which would be amazing. And he means it so much he's put it in capitals. But yeah, Rich, Kev, and Martin, will Emery buy anyone else? Do you think we need more? So to hit that 3rd spot, do you think we need more?
I think we need 2 more. I think we need a right back where Gautier comes in, and I do feel like we need.
You keep changing his name every time you say it, by the way.
Yeah.
He's got about 9 different names for it. I keep thinking it's new players that we're linked to. Like, there's an exciting.
I know. I keep mixing up. I do feel like we need a right back. And
just say the Dutch guy.
Yeah, we need the Dutch gold. Can of Dutch gold actually what's here in Ireland for like a drink, right? So can of Dutch gold is what I'm going to call him. And I feel like we need like an attacking second striker. Maybe Morgan Rogers can do it, but I feel like we need that and a centre back if Carlos goes.
Steve 24/7 says it's pronounced Hertrauda.
Yeah.
Hertrauda.
Yeah.
Right, fair enough.
So we have actually made a signing today, though. Another young prospect, Kane Taylor from Manchester City. So Manchester City must have had an extensive scouting network in the Birmingham area because Morgan Rogers went from the Midlands to Manchester City. Kane Taylor was at Villa Academy, went to Manchester City. Now we've signed him back for 750,000. I think featured in their under 21s quite heavily, can play in midfield. I think very versatile player again. I don't know too much about him, but you know, looking at this track record that we've got, Kev, of bringing these young players in for this, you know, for kind of 500,000 to 750,000, either challenging for that first team or they go off for pretty decent money to Chelsea. So I think we're onto a winner here.
Yeah,
I know you lose some money to Chelsea.
I know City have got a 25% sell-on clause, but you know, Chelsea are buying for 117 million. So what's 25% of that? You know, you're still making some serious cash. I think it'll be nice because at least somebody called Kane's going to win a trophy at some point in England. So, thanks. When we're in the absolute lot in the next few years. Look, you'd always think sometimes, why would these clubs let go of these players? You've only got to see Cole Palmer being let go last season and the impact that he had to know that, you know, this is just, I think, good skating from us. And obviously when the likes of Morgan Rogers and Kane Taylor were at City's academy, that's when Villa were not particularly great, probably when they first were spotted. So now we are obviously an absolute elite club, you know, dining at the top table. So exciting times, and midfielder, very highly rated. Like we've said many times, it's win-win. He doesn't make it for the Villa first team, and maybe you end up getting, you know, 10, 15 million somewhere else. But let's get behind him. He's a Brummy lad, which obviously, you know, I think we look at this situation when we've lost Grealish, and we're a bit like, oh, you know, we're losing a little bit of the heart of the team. But actually, you know, with Morgan Rogers kicking around, that's obviously really nice.
Ramsey.
Yeah, Jacob Ramsey, obviously his brother may be coming through, you know, a couple of years behind. You get a few more of these local players, it gives you that affinity, doesn't it, of the club? So, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, 100%. Before we move on to our last couple of subjects of the fans forum and what a fans forum it has been, just need to shout out. I want to shout out our show supporters, football prizes, and they have a great prize at the moment, an Aston Villa competition for an Esri Konsa signed and custom LED framed Aston Villa shirt. Plus, there's also the opportunity for 15 instant win prizes, including a signed and framed shirt from Ollie Watkins and Jacob Ramsey, and they're all got certified a certificate of authenticity. Tickets are only £3.95, and the competition ends on Thursday, the 29th of August, with the draw live on Friday, the 30th of August at 8:30. So just £3.95 for your ticket, and you can win one of these fantastic prizes. Footballprizes.co.uk and search for the Esri Konsa prize. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about Saturday's big game against Arsenal. And you have put a little teaser out there, Martin, about certain couple of managers that are going head to head. Mr. Unai Emery has a real beating of Mikel Arteta at the moment, and it caused a little bit of debate on Arsenal fan TV on the social medias about who is the better manager. I don't think there's any debate really, to be honest with you, but yeah, Unai Emery against Mikel Arteta again on Saturday.
Yeah, they've played 5 games, I think, against each other. Emery's won 3, drew 1, lost 1. And it was the first game back, obviously, in the Premier League where it was just an absolute fluke that Arteta won 1 game. But when Arsenal Fan TV actually put in a poll, and I have it written down here because I wanted to remember this one, 16,655 voted as who was the better manager of Emery and Arteta. 55% voted that Emery's the better manager on Arsenal Fan TV. Now, admittedly,
there'd be loads
that
of Arsenal
could
fans
be more Villa fans voting on that. But in fairness, one of the lads did say Arteta is a much better manager than Emery. Now, Robbie, being backwards head as he is being stuck in the past, saying, look what he done here. It doesn't matter what he done there. Any man that was going into that job, at Arsenal job, as Arsene Wenger left, was always going to be a scapegoat. It's the same comparison that I always use with Sir Alex Ferguson at Man United. Whoever went in straight after Sir Alex Ferguson was always going to be the scapegoat. Like David Moyes, he was a scapegoat. Emery never got his time at Arsenal, never got to do what he wanted. But if you look at the short time that Emery done at Arsenal, right, and the record doesn't lie, he brought a bad Arsenal team to a Europa League final. A Europa League final. Top 6 finishes, right? Arteta comes in. Yes, took him a while. I'm not doubting the job Arteta done for Arsenal. Absolutely not. He's done a brilliant job. He's absolutely one of the chasing packs for the leagues. I'm not taking it away from him. But when you're looking at the credentials of Emery, there's no comparison to who the better manager is. He, in the short space of time that he's had at Villa, he's brought us from 17th in the league to 7th in the space of a few months. Signed a few players in the next window, brought us to a Conference League semi-final, and finished 4th in the Premier League. This season now, he's got the Champions League. He's after beating West Ham away, which all the managers in the London Stadium haven't done. He's gone and done that. I felt the win at West Ham was absolutely huge because you have your first home game against Arsenal early in the season, and you go into that with a loss or a draw was not an ideal situation for me. But with Emery, he's won 4 Europa Leagues, 3 in a row with Sevilla, 1 with Villarreal. He's won the Copa del Rey. He done a fantastic job at Valencia. Great record at PSG as well. Don't know why they got rid of him in the first place. He's been overlooked, Emery, at every.
Oh, we lost your mid-flow, Martin.
Yeah. So he was absolutely back right. He was absolutely overlooked, and he's come to Villa, which I think has nearly suited him because we've always been overlooked. And now he's come into a setup that's been overlooked, but under the radar, like himself, and he's proven doubt was wrong.
Yeah.
Week in,
Yeah.
week out. Oh, Villa's not going to finish top 4, blah, 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 blah. He's gone and done it. Villa are in a relegation battle. Emery might be the first to get sacked. He's got us to 7th.
Yeah.
Emery is a far better manager than Arteta. He's the second best manager in the league under Pep Guardiola.
Well, Kev said that last year, but I think Rachel kind of sums it up quite well. I've had so many comments, but she said, I think it's simple. Emery is the right man for Villa and Arteta is the right fit for Arsenal. And it does kind of feel like that. Look, we know there's not a comparison right now because if you win, it's about winning trophies, yeah? And Emery's won the trophies to back up what he's saying. And he's also, I think Sam mentioned this the other night because I think we were chatting about it the other night, but if you put like in terms of right fit for clubs, this kind of sums it up because if you put Arteta into Villa when they were 17th, I don't think he gets Villa from 17th to Champions League, whereas
No
Emery
way.
comes in and he just completely transforms the club.
I just think it's weird, this whole situation. It's like having a group of like lads in a bar going, who's got the fittest girlfriend? It's just odd. I mean, we're not bringing this up. We're not sat
No, I
around
know.
as a fan base going, is our manager as good as the Arsenal manager? It's just weird. Just get a life. Like you're apparently going to.
It's like breaking up with your girlfriend 5 years ago, but you're still going on about it.
Yeah, it's like this team Arsenal are hotly tipped by a lot of major football pundits. I mean, half of them haven't got a clue, as we discussed already. But anyway,
But I think Arsenal fans are nearly rattled by how well Emery's doing.
yeah, right,
Villa.
but they are. But think about this, right? Arsenal are getting hotly tipped to win the league. Why are you bothered about the team that finished 4th? Why are you bothered at little old Aston Villa? Why are you even considering putting this chat
Because we
out there?
stopped them from winning the league.
Because we stopped them from winning the league, Kevin. We stopped them from winning the league, Kevin.
I know,
we
but
saved
like,
the whole football world from endless talk of Arsenal win the league. I'd rather Man City win it because you'll not hear about it, but you'll never hear the end of it from Arsenal. We saved football, I think.
It's a real heavy heart for me with this because I fucking hate pardon my French, hate Man City and everything that they stand for and the 115 charges. And I honestly, it boils my blood that they can still, Everton like open a bottle in the wrong direction and they get fined for something, and dot points. You walked in the door the wrong way, there's 2 points off, and yet Man City get away with it. So I would have liked someone else to win it, but I just think it's an odd comparison. If we are going to talk about it briefly after Martin's obviously given his passionate plea, it's absolutely irrefutable that Emery is a better manager. It's not even comparable based on what he's won and what he's done with unfashionable teams as well. Villarreal's only major trophy in their history was won by Unai Emery, and he got onto the semi-finals of the Champions League. That's like me getting to
didn't want to get rid of him.
That's like me getting to the semi-finals of the Olympics 100 meters final. Like, it's just unbelievable what he's done. And Rachel's absolutely right. He's doing a great job at Arsenal, Arteta. He's got a light bulb working in the room. He knows where he knows where the wallets are. And all jokes aside, they've got a really good squad. They're a really exciting team, and we've got the perfect manager for us. But I would love it if we beat them this weekend. I would love it. And they've got to go to Middlesbrough. Sorry. No, I would love it. I would love it because it would just show everybody. And I reckon Unai is going to be bang up for this game because he's not stupid. He knows what's going on. As he said, I think there was a slight language difference in when he said it, but Arsenal's just another 3 points. And I don't think he meant it as in easy. But obviously all the Villa fans were like,
I didn't know he said that.
Yeah, like it's another game. I think he meant to say like it's just another possible 3 points, but he just went Arsenal's another 3 points, and I just thought so many Villa fans are just like, I absolutely love it.
It's like if Birmingham City were in the same division as us, be like, yeah, it's just 6 points a season, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, I would just absolutely love it if we go there, Villa Park, and convincing win, and just put this argument to bed.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Everyone, please do smash the like button and do hit that subscribe button. We've got nearly 400 people watching, both on X and on YouTube. We've got just approaching 70 likes on YouTube, though. So please do smash the like button. If we get over 100 likes on the stream tonight, that would be amazing. So all you got to do, click that thumbs up button, totally free of charge. And do subscribe if you're new. And if you want to become a member, do click the link at the top of the chat or the $ and follow the instructions from there. Couple of questions to finish up, boys. Paul on X says, Saka is the threat. Do you go Dini experience but lack of pace, or Martson who will get at him and match him for pace? Who wants to take
Good
that
question.
one?
I would go Digne. I'd
I
go
go
Digne.
Maatsen.
I'd bring Maatsen on if we need to, but
I go Maatsen for the pace. I don't think any game I've seen Saka play against a pacey fullback doesn't do well. I go Maatsen.
Okay.
Fair play. I think
I'll
for
go
the
Moreno.
time being,
Moreno.
yeah, Moreno.
Yeah. He's in the forest, Kevin. We can't get him.
I think Digne generally does okay, doesn't he, against Saka?
Yeah.
I think he'll be all right.
Just
I would
smash into him early on, and he
Yeah.
doesn't like it, does he?
No, and I do think you're right. If Cash is injured for a couple of weeks, then obviously it's going to have to be Konsa to right back, and
Yep.
then you're looking like Carlos playing this week. So maybe that move doesn't happen till next week if it is going to happen.
I wouldn't be too mad at Carlos playing this weekend. I mean, look at how well Carlos did the last time at Villa
Yeah,
Park.
he does turn up for the big games. He does. I agree.
Yep.
And Ken asks, would you have Raheem Sterling in the club? I think we asked this question to each other in our chat, didn't we?
Nah, wages.
No.
I just
Not the profile,
yeah.
the profile, because there's some talk with Demi Villigani, Monchi, and Emery that they wanted a younger profile, and Sterling doesn't fit that.
Yeah, no, not for me. Not for me. I don't. It's difficult really because, like I say, it was very much the first game of the season. It's in it. You don't actually do not want to get carried away, but you can get a little bit spooked by clubs making loads of new signings, and you kind of forget what you've got in your team already, and you forget that those players are already schooled in whatever manager that they're working under system. And when we came up against West Ham on Saturday, when it was 10 out of the 11 players, sorry, on the in the starting lineup that were all schooled under Unai Emery, have played with each other for the last at least a season. Some of them been playing together for 4 or 5 seasons. They know how each other moves. They know what spaces to get into, and that was so evident to see against a team like West Ham who are trying to operate under a new manager. And you think that plays a massive part in teams moving forward, and particularly having good starts to the season. Kevin, that's what I think put my mind at rest a little bit in terms of how we operate.
Yeah, and you know what as well? Like last season, obviously we had a few injuries. We were creaking a bit at the end, but when we were like full strength squad, I mean, I say that still Buendia and Mings were out, and Kamara was out half the season. But when we had most of the players around, still we compete with everybody. Do you know what I'm absolutely loving? And I can't believe I have to pinch myself as a Villa fan to say this. I ain't scared of anyone, and I mean anyone. Barcelona, come and have a go. Yeah, because I don't care who you are now. This manager and this team, sure, I didn't answer the question earlier. Just briefly, I'd like a passer. I'd like someone that can break. I saw Gareth made the same point actually. I know great talking tactics that you guys did. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I was chopping up some veg and having a little listen to you both the other day, Rich. But he made that point. A creative, whether it's an Alex Buena type, someone who's creative and a bit of a different profile to actually the physicality we've got of a Ramsey, Rodgers, the pace maybe of those. And I'd like that alternative, maybe a slightly alternative Cash option at right back, because, if Cash is injured, even if he's not, it's one area we maybe could have a slightly better quality. But even if we didn't get anybody else in and Carlos stays, etc., I still think we could beat anybody on any game. I don't care who it is. We didn't even have a go at Man City away because we tactically dealt with that game as a bit of a free hit to save ourselves. But we beat Man City home and away. We battered Man City at home. We owe Liverpool, Man United, and Newcastle a good performance, admittedly. But I just think now, as a team, like we are such a pedigree now above that we've ever known as Villa fans in recent history, and that the league haven't known us to be. That I just think now we go into the game against Arsenal, and it really is a top of the table clash. It's magic. It's magic. And I now, after watching that performance at the weekend, we'd love a boost of a big signing. We'd absolutely love it. We've seen chat in the chat. Grealish comes back on loan, or whatever. You know, or
Yeah, I was just
Moreno.
about to say that. Will we touch a bit on this Grealish talk here?
Well, we haven't got. I don't even go into that because it's 11, and we've done it every week for the last since he left.
I'm not. I'm
don't do it.
deliberately ignoring those comments.
So
it was mentioned on Sunday with mine and Sam's match reaction.
I've just touched on it. What I'm saying is, I'd love the impetus of a big signing coming in, but even without that, I think we've got the squad that competes. So, I think maybe 3-1 on Saturday for my prediction. There you go. We'll save that.
Early predictions in.
Yeah.
Massive shout out to Ken for the £2 super chat.
Cheers, Ken. Thanks,
so
mate.
much for your support, Ken. And yeah, what a show.
30 pence each.
Yeah, exactly. What a show, lads. Great chat. Obviously, so exciting at the moment to be a Villa fan. And yeah, I know it's after one game and all that jazz, but that's just me. I get excited after a win. I get down after a defeat, but that's what we all like about. That's what we're all football fans for. So, yeah, I'm buzzing at the moment.
We were brilliant. We were look at that game, watch it back, watch the match of the day. Didn't even show most of the chances we had. It's almost like it's deliberate. We played great. Richie touched on this right at the start. We were just casually chatting away. We were so comfortable. You know, normally away from home as a Villa fan, you're biting your nails because like you're under the cosh constantly. We just had the ball. We're spraying it around. We're breaking the press. We're making chances. We were just great. I just feel really confident. We're going to win the lot.
Like imagine a scenario like where, just imagine a scenario where Aston Villa actually win the Premier League, right? All you can see from the pundits is this: "Oh, well done, Villa. Well done, Villa. Yeah, well done, Villa." And in shell shock, that's what it'll be. And us Villa fans rubbing it in.
Beat Arsenal, and they're going to have to talk about us.
They're going to have to. So, they're going to have to. Look,
hit the like button.
Everyone in the chat is already confident, already get their predictions in. But we're going to be back later on this week with our full match prediction show. And I've got Dan from Football's 12th Man, Dan Potts from Football's 12th Man, and he's also on AFTV. But he's definitely one of the sensible ones on AFTV, coming on for our In the Away End opposition preview. Dan Potts is coming on.
Who did you get, sorry?
What?
Who did you get again, sorry?
Dan Potts is coming on from
Dan Potts,
12th Man, and AFTV. So yeah, he's on our In the Away End match preview show. We'll also hopefully, you never know, we might do some transfer business or round up some transfer talk shows. So plenty of shows for you coming up this week. Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for all your questions. Thank you, boys, for joining us. What a great show. Keep in tune with the channel. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa.
We're going to win a lot.